As a young
You were
woman,
30
like,
years of age.
yeah, as a young woman, like losing your breast, like you're losing your femininity.
Yeah.
Like I was bald, I was grey, like you lose yourself.
And they said, we found something. And I knew straight away. I said, so I'm stage 4. And she said, yeah, you're stage 4. I just said, like, how long do I have left?
So with me today is a new campaign. It's called Too Young to Be Heard. I have 2 of the 3 young women who set up the campaign. It's a campaign to give voice to younger women who are experiencing breast cancer, because a lot of the time younger women feel they're slightly overlooked by the system due to their age. So the campaign Too Young to Be Heard was set up by Ziva Cussen, Niamh Noonan and Muireann McColgan. Ziva unfortunately can't be with us today due to other circumstances. But with me are Niamh Noonan, who is 31, and I hope you don't mind me saying your age, and Muireann McColgan, who is 40. And I'm just going to have a chat to the 2 ladies, first of all, about their own stories with cancer, and then about how they met and how the campaign was formed and what their call to action is in relation to the campaign. So, Niamh, you might tell me first a little bit about your journey with cancer, what led you to get checked for cancer in the first place, you know, when you got your diagnosis and your journey from there.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having us, by the way. My journey kind of started in April 2023. I felt little pea-sized lumps in my left breast, just behind my nipple. Didn't think too much of it. I never thought cancer would happen to me.
So you were 29 at the time, were you?
I was 29 at the time, yeah.
And would you have been good about checking prior to that?
No.
Because it just wouldn't have been on your radar.
No, and yeah, cancer wasn't in my circle at all. It's not in my family history or anything.
Not in your family history.
And I went to my GP. She referred me on, and I went into the breast clinic. They did a physical examination, so no ultrasound, nothing. Said I was too young and put it down to thick breast tissue and sent me on my way. And
did you accept that?
Yeah, I mean, I trusted the medical professionals. You know, when I was told it was nothing, I didn't assume it would be anything.
And you feel that it was done like that because of your age, that's why there wasn't more invasive testing?
Yeah, I mean, a physical examination was the only thing that was done. 6 months later, I felt 3 massive lumps in my left breast and under my armpit. And
when you say massive now, I mean...
golf ball sized.
Golf ball sized.
Yeah. The one in my armpit was particularly sore, just with it was kind of like fixated in a lot of nerves and things like that. So I did feel it anytime my arm was down by my side. So I noticed it a lot, and I kind of said, this isn't right. Went back to my GP, and she said, okay, it's a bit of a weird coincidence. It's in the same breast, but let's get you an urgent referral this time. And the urgent referral took 11 weeks for me to be seen again.
11 weeks?
Yeah. An urgent referral should be 10 days. It took me 11 weeks, to which I didn't think anything of it at the time. You know, I was like, I was only here 6 months ago. This can't be anything. This is probably a cyst, a hormonal cyst, something like that. And I went in and...
And did you go in by yourself?
I went with my mum. She was in the waiting room. I went in on my own. Because again, I didn't think it was anything.
Did she think it was anything? Was she concerned?
No, because I was there 6 months previous. Yeah. You know, you trust that you're there already to be seen. So, you know, I'm not going to think anything of it. And I went in and I saw a surgeon. It was a he actually, and he said, I'm going to call in my boss. And I said, okay. And she said to me the words, "This is really worrying," and that stuck out to me.
Was that just from a physical examination?
Yeah, that she said. She said that the 6 months previous, the little lumps that I felt at the time, they were only pea-sized, but I felt them. And she said they can never know if that was the start of my breast cancer because there was no ultrasound or anything done. But
so there was no record, effectively.
Exactly. But I mean, so I can never know if that was the start of it. But if that was caught, if I did get an ultrasound at that time, and if it was an early stage, you know, I could have gotten different treatment or less invasive treatment. So it's an unknown, but it's something that irks me. So I got a biopsy, ultrasound, a mammogram done. And I went back 10 days later, and the surgeon said, "You have 3 tumours. It's stage 3 in your lymph nodes."
Wow.
Triple positive.
Who was with you that day?
My mum was with me again.
And how did you react?
So I kind of I guess I was very in denial about the whole thing. I mean, I was kind of like, okay, what do I do? Like, I've never experienced this. I don't know anyone that's experienced it. You know, cancer wasn't in my circle. At 29, I turned 32 days after, before I was diagnosed, I turned 30, and I just moved in with my partner at the time that weekend. So it was a lot going on. And
was it explained to you well? I mean, were the words just thrown out there, or was it explained to you well?
No, so, I mean, it was a doctor that diagnosed me, and she used the medical terms. There was a nurse there, and I went and saw her after, and she kind of put it down into like plain English for me and my mum to understand, and just kind of recap the whole thing, because it is a lot. You know, you're thrown the words, you've 3 tumours, you're stage 3, it's in your lymph nodes at you, and you're kind of blank. You know, I didn't know what to expect, and I'm a very kind of just tell me what to do and I'll be there type of person. But what followed was appointments, CTs, MRIs, you name it. Like, it was just a constant string of things.
What was the treatment plan they outlined for you then?
So the treatment plan was, when I saw my surgeon and got diagnosed, she said that because the tumour in my left armpit was so big and fixed on all of my nerves and things, it was inoperable. And if she did operate, I could lose my arm. So the plan was for me to go on treatment for 6 sessions of TCHB chemo and hopefully reduce the size of the tumours and making it operable. And then I'd go for a mastectomy and lymph node clearance. So that's what I did. I did 6 sessions of TCHB chemo.
So that went on, so from when?
That was March. I was diagnosed, and I started my first chemo the 25th of March last year.
Last year?
Yeah. So I did that for 6 sessions, finished that in the July. I lost all my hair. You know, I lost about 15 kilos.
Did you?
Yeah, it was a lot. The side effects were a lot. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't walk down the road for more than 50 meters. Like, I had to be carried, getting sick into a little plastic bag. Like, it was... the side effects from chemo was a lot for me.
Was it, you know, as the sessions got on that it got worse because of the cumulative effect?
It was just kind of, because they were every 3 weeks, because it was such a harsh chemo, that the first week I know that I would be a certain type of way really bad. Second week, building myself up. Third week, okay, I'm feeling okay-ish.
But I'm getting ready now for the next.
But then it starts again. Yeah. So the first session, I ended up in hospital just because my neutrophils and things were very, very low. But after that, I just kind of, I guess my body got used to it, unfortunately. But it worked. It shrank my tumours, thankfully.
Did you have much support during that time, you know, from your partner, family, friends?
Yeah, I did. And I worked throughout. But
right. So even though you were that ill, you worked throughout?
Yeah. I had just moved in with my partner that week. So I was renting, and, you know, you're under financial stress, and it's not something that, well, I could afford to take off of work, even though I know, looking back now, like, I would have preferred to, but just financially I couldn't do it. There's not a lot of support out there, unfortunately, when you're going through that, to pay bills and things like that.
Is that because the disparity between sick leave and, you know, and the payroll?
Exactly, yeah. So there's not a lot of funding in terms of government funding, but so if I went off work on sick leave, I'd only be allowed a certain amount of pay, or even on income protection or social protection or anything like that.
And were you actually going into work, or were you working from home?
So I decided to work from home just because I'd be immunocompromised during chemo. So I spent about 9 months working from home. And then once I kind of felt better, only the end of last year, November, December, I decided to go back once a week, just for a bit of normality.
Sociability.
Exactly, like to see a familiar face.
Yeah. So you finished the chemo when then?
Finished the chemo July last year.
Okay, and then?
And then in the August, I had my mastectomy, single mastectomy, and lymph node clearance.
And how were you, you know, post-surgery?
Healing wise, great. Mentally, not great. You know, I was wheeled into surgery, crying my eyes out, looking down my gown. They put me asleep. I was holding my surgeon's hand and crying while they put me under. It was devastating. I mean, like, as a young woman,
you were 30 years of age.
Yeah, as a young woman, like, losing your breast, like, you're losing your femininity.
Yeah.
losing my hair. Like I was bald, I was grey, like with the chemo.
It's very tough.
You lose yourself, and it felt, you're stuck in bed and you're watching your friends and everyone kind of get on with their lives, and it's hard to see people get on with their lives while you're kind of stuck in limbo almost.
Yeah.
But I was lucky that my treatment was working. I felt really lucky, and
so that was the positive side.
It was, and I felt positive throughout it, and I think mentally.
And you were trusting the treatment plan.
Exactly, I had great support, great team in my oncology team, and I'm so lucky that I was seen by who I was seen.
Yeah, and that's great for anyone listening to hear.
Yeah.
To have faith in the treatment plan and in the oncology team.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have heard stories of people not, having great oncology teams, but I was lucky and I loved mine, and they were a great support system. And I had my mastectomy then, and then I went for radiation in the October. I had 20 sessions of radiation. And then they told me that there was still cancer cells. So they do a biopsy when they do the mastectomy, and they found cancer cells still in my system. So I went back on 14 sessions of chemo.
After the radio?
After the radiation, yeah. So that was November last year, and I finished it in July this year.
That's a serious amount of treatment, isn't it?
Yeah. There was about 470 days between my first chemo and my last chemo. So it's a lot, but going into the chemo chair, like I kind of like felt safe that this was my bubble and I was getting treatment, and I liked my chemo days.
Because now your treatment and you're being fixed as far as you're concerned. And so since that ended, how have you been and where are you now?
So I finished the chemo mid-July, and I'm only kind of dealing with it mentally now. I know that post-treatment, I've been told that that's when you kind of deal with it and it's harder. My oncologist told me that, and I've definitely felt it mentally. Dealing with it and looking back and kind of looking what I've gone through, it's tough. I've no shame. Like my oncologist put me on citalopram, which is an antidepressant to help deal with it, and I'm glad I'm on it. It's traumatic what people go through, and there's days where I kind of cry my eyes out and say, God, did I just go through all of that? So it's a lot, and as a young woman, and we see more and more of it now, it's heartbreaking. But I'm doing okay. I'm thankfully finished my treatment, and I'll go on the end of this year. I'm going to have another mastectomy, risk reducing mastectomy and reconstruction. So that's my plan. And then I'll kind of close that chapter of reconstruction. So I just chosen to do that myself. Just with my age. Just reduce the risk while I can.
Absolutely, reduce it, but also for your age and for your mental health, and your well-being going forward.
Yeah, exactly. I want to have two breasts,
You're 31.
So exactly. So that's my plan. So that's the next kind of chapter for me.
Okay, so do you it isn't looking much brighter for you now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm really lucky that I was really lucky that and my surgeon said the same. I was lucky that I said, actually, do you know what? Something's not right.
Yeah.
And I went back because, 6 months previous, I was told, you're fine, go on.
Yeah. So you do feel, I suppose, again, the name of the campaign is Too Young to Be Heard. And you certainly feel that was part of your story. You were too young to be heard.
Absolutely. I mean, you see, a young 29-year-old coming in saying, oh, I might feel little lumps, but, they sent me on my way because as a young person, you have thicker breast tissue, and that's why mammograms aren't done until they're 50.
Yeah.
But you can.
There are other methods.
There are other methods, exactly. And I shouldn't have been let go at that time. Yeah. I could have been a different stage, but I'll never know that.
You don't know that, but
exactly. But it's
but you certainly don't not know that either. So
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, Niamh, that's some story, and the best luck in the future. But we'll talk again in a minute. But
absolutely.
I want to talk to Muireann, who's the other part of the triumvirate of Too Young to Be Heard.
Mm-hmm.
So Muireann, you might kind of, again, like what Niamh did, give me a bit of background on what led you to getting checked, and your story, your treatment, and where you are now.
Okay, so I found a lump in my breast in August 2023. I was 31 weeks pregnant. I was just back from my honeymoon. I found it when I was in the shower, actually, and it just kind of popped out as being very prominent and very hard. I showed it to my husband. My husband said, yeah, book an appointment. So I straight away booked an appointment with my GP, and I got an appointment, I think that Monday. I think that was a Friday, actually, if I remember. So I went to my GP. She examined me for what felt like about 15 minutes, and she said, I think you have mastitis. So she then kind of...
Based on the fact that you were pregnant?
Based on the fact that I was pregnant. I also had a bit of discharge from that nipple, which she put down to colostrum. And yeah, so she gave me a big long lecture about, you know, mastitis and how to massage it and stuff like that. So
this was your first pregnancy?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was 37. I went off thinking, that's fine, you know. But I've never...
And did you actually think that's fine? That's the answer?
Yeah. I mean, I've never questioned doctors.
Yeah.
I've always,
Yeah.
you know,
we
thought
don't.
the doctor knows
Yeah.
best and doctor is right. She was a young woman. And you always hear about people getting dismissed by men. So I just assumed I was in safe hands. So I went off, and then a few weeks later, I was with the midwives. And I had said I was at my GP, that it wasn't a set appointment, you know, antenatal appointment. She asked me why. I told her I had a lump, and the GP examined it and said it was fine. So she said, can I feel the lump? And I said, yes, of course. So she felt it. And she said, I'm not happy that you were turned away with that. She said, you know, I want you to have that looked at again. So she brought me to the breastfeeding specialist in the hospital. The breastfeeding specialist said...
Which hospital were you in?
Holles Street.
Holles Street.
The breastfeeding specialist wasn't happy either. So then they referred me.
So they
to
certainly
the
weren't dismissing it as mastitis or anything
Absolutely
like that?
Not, no. They sent me to the obstetrician, who then also thought it wasn't concerning, but referred me for a mammogram. So then I was booked in to have my mammogram on the Monday, and I ended up going into labour on the Saturday. So I had to kind of, in a very kind of frantic state, I had to call them and say, I'm not going to be able to make the mammogram.
So how many weeks pregnant were you now at this stage?
I was 40 weeks.
Oh, you were the full 40 now at this stage?
I was the full 40. So she was born 40 weeks and 1 day.
And your daughter is Eve?
Eve, yeah. And the mammogram was 40 weeks and 2 days. So it was very unusual to go into labour on the due date. Basically.
But you actually went into labour on your due date?
The day after, yeah. No, it was very strange.
Yeah.
So...
And on that, she was born healthy and well.
I had like an unbelievable pregnancy. I had no problems at all. I was with the Domino midwife, so I was low kind of maintenance. I felt, you know, great.
And you had a good pregnancy?
Very good pregnancy. I was up walking around and ready to go back to the gym within a few days. Anyway, so then when I called on the Monday, Eve was 2 days old. They said, okay, we're going to reschedule your mammogram. So they rescheduled it for the 26th of October. She was born on the 7th. Then they rescheduled it for the 26th.
Okay. So she would only been 3 weeks postpartum.
Yeah,
roughly.
Just about. Yeah. And so I went to that mammogram. We had my husband and Eve came with me. Obviously, she couldn't go anywhere because I was breastfeeding, so I had to bring her with me. And we had a plan. I was like, okay, I'll just go in. This will take, 10 minutes. And then
were you concerned now at this stage?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
And your husband wasn't concerned, was he?
No. Yeah. No. And looking back, that's silly. But anyway.
Oh, it's not.
No. Yeah, you can only do what
absolutely.
You do.
Yeah.
Again, like Niamh, like cancer wasn't on my radar.
Absolutely.
It's not my family.
Yeah.
I wasn't at risk. So on the day I had the mammogram, Tomic had Eve, and they said, oh, we want to give you an ultrasound. So I went back out to the waiting room. I was like, oh, they want to ultrasound me. It'll take an hour more, and then we'll go to my parents' house because we had that planned.
Yeah. Still nothing dramatic here. Yeah.
So then she gave me the ultrasound, and she said, oh, I want to do a biopsy. And I'm still sitting there going, not copying what's happening.
The full 3 point.
Absolutely. Then she was asking me about my family history, and I still didn't cop it. So I was just concerned.
In your family history, is there anything concerning in your family history?
No, not at all.
No. Have you sisters?
Yeah.
And nothing at all there?
Nothing.
No,
Mum, my dad smokes like a trooper, survives on cake, never had a health problem in his life. He'll kill me for saying that. But yeah, so then they did the biopsy, and even still, I didn't cop it. And then they made me wait in a waiting room. And so Tomic had the baby in the waiting room. So, he wasn't kind of filled in on what was happening. Then they took me down to a waiting room, and I waited
by
there.
yourself?
No, he was with me.
Oh, he's still with
I
you?
still
Yeah.
didn't cop it.
Okay.
I must have been there for about 40 minutes, and this is 5 o'clock or so. And, you know, we had been there since 10 o'clock in the morning. And then they called me into a room on my own. And there was a nurse there, and she just said to me, there's something there that looks like it needs treatment. So I didn't really. And then I started to go, okay, hang on a second.
Yeah, these
Here.
words.
Yeah,
Listen to these
you know.
words now.
And I was like, are you saying I have cancer? And she said, I'll get the surgeon to come in. So the surgeon came in, and he kind of, you know, very, very gently said, we think it's cancer. So
Yeah.
he...
They
you know,
obviously can't be sure because they need to run the test.
They can't be sure, but
Yeah.
I said, what's the percent here? And he said he's 80% sure it's cancer. He said,
Wow.
well, you know, we can tell by the imaging it's
Yeah.
cancer. So he examined me, and then I said, you know, I've been having some pain in my ribs. And I was worried it was connected. And he said, no, it's not connected. So he basically, he said, you have cancer, come back in 2 weeks and we'll tell you more
Give you the full
information.
extent and exactly what type it is and treatment plan and all
Exactly.
the rest.
So I went home, and
How were you at that stage in your head?
I mean, I was in complete shock. Like,
Yeah.
I came out to my husband in tears, and I just said that they're telling me I have cancer. And he just, like, my husband's a man.
There
of
he
few
is with the
words
3-week-old baby.
But he was
Yeah.
just absolutely shell-shocked.
Yeah.
Like, so I cancelled going to my parents' house. I went home, and I did my own research began, which was morning, noon, and night. And
Yeah.
I spent the next 2 weeks educating myself about everything. So I knew all the stages. I knew the risks of every stage. I knew everything about that. So
that you knew by the time you went back in the next time, no matter what they threw at you, you would have an
that's
understanding
exactly
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we went back to the meeting, now those two weeks were absolute hell.
And you should have been enjoying your new baby at that stage.
Yeah, exactly. It was, honestly, I think I've blocked a lot of it out.
Yeah.
It was very hard
Yeah.
to be present.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of time I'll never get back. And my in-laws did come over from Poland, and they were helping out a lot with herself, and they were over for the meeting for the results. So I got to go with my husband, and we got to focus on that. Okay. So I knew all the risks of every stage when I went in there.
And what did they say you had? So
I went in there, and I said, I don't want to beat around the bush here. I said, just tell me what stage
give it to me.
Tell me what stage it is.
Yeah.
And he said, stage 2. And I breathed a sigh of relief, and I sat down, and I was like, okay, stage 2.
I can handle that.
That's grand.
Yeah.
I can handle it. So they went through everything, and, you know, they told me the treatment, and they said my lymph
Which type
nodes,
of cancer? Of breast cancer?
Sorry, it's estrogen receptor positive. So invasive ductal carcinoma. Yeah. Now, they had done a lymph node biopsy, which came back inconclusive. So they didn't know if it was in my lymph node or not. So they said, we want to repeat your lymph node biopsy, and based on that, we will be able to tell if you need chemo.
So they couldn't give you the treatment plan there and then,
They gave me 2 options based on what the results of that biopsy would be. So he said, either you're going to have surgery first and then do chemo, if it's not in your lymph node. If it is in your lymph node, we're going to do chemo first and then surgery.
Yeah.
So they sent me for a repeat lymph node biopsy.
There on that day?
On that day, they gave me a date for it.
Okay.
And then I again flagged the pain in my rib to them, because I knew it was a symptom for metastases.
Yeah.
So I said, pain in the rib, you know, I am not going to relax until I know.
I need a resolution to this. I need to know an answer.
What that is.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're not concerned. You've been breastfeeding. It's the way you're holding yourself.
So nobody was a bit concerned about that?
Not at all. So then they sent me away. Again, they said they'd order me a CT scan. I said, okay, perfect. And then everything moves really fast. Like, I had an appointment one day to get the mag seed in the breast for surgery. And on the same day, they repeated the lymph node biopsy.
Okay.
And then I was at a 3-week checkup, I think. And after that appointment, the hospital actually rang me while I was in there, and they said, your lymph node biopsy has come back negative. So they said,
negative.
You're not going to need chemo.
Okay.
We're going to proceed with surgery first, and then we'll decide based on the oncotype test whether you need chemo.
Okay, so that was like, good news as far as you're
concerned.
I
don't need chemo.
Yeah.
I had, we went out to celebrate. I bought myself an I don't need chemo coat as a present to myself. I was like over the moon. We were so happy. I was ringing everyone to tell them.
Yeah.
And then I had the CT the next day, and they called,
on your ribs.
Yeah, well, it was
everywhere, but
abdomen, kind of pelvis, and then they rang me that day, and they said, right, we have your lumpectomy appointment. It was in 3 days. So it was so quick. My husband had to call his work and be like, look, this has happened, blah, blah, blah. He had just come back from his paternity leave. So he said, I'm going to need an extra few days. My wife's having this, surgery. So I was all set up for surgery on the Tuesday, and then they called me on the Monday and they said, we have your CT results. And I was like, oh, great. And they said, we found something. And I knew straight away. I said, so I'm stage 4. And she said, yeah, you're stage 4. So they told me over the phone.
And you knew from the research that you had done.
I knew from the research that stage 4 was incurable. I didn't know anything about the treatment, about statistics or survival or anything like that. I didn't know. All I knew was.
But what made it was just you'd figured it at that stage.
Well, actually, it ended up not being related. So I had a rib fracture, which wasn't related to the cancer, but possibly happened during labour, or I had fallen when I was pregnant. So I think it could have happened then. So they said that the rib fracture was unrelated to the cancer and that was causing me pain, but they saw it in my spine, my rib, and my hips and my shoulder, actually.
Oh my God, Mary.
Yeah, so it was kind of incidental that they found that. But because the lymph node was clear, it's kind of unusual for it to have spread with nothing in the lymph node. So I kept being reassured that it was okay. It must have been some intuition I had somewhere. So then, they told me that over the phone.
Stage 4.
Stage 4. And my husband was working upstairs. So I just kind of shouted for him and I told him. And it was, it was horrific. He signed out of work straight away. And I just knew, I was like, this is terminal. Like, what is going to happen? So then they made me come in to the hospital and they gave me a kind of talk. And I could tell they were being a bit sheepish now because they'd made a mistake. Look, it wasn't negligent or anything. It was just poor handling of the situation, I think. So they both kind of had their heads down and they were telling me, yeah, it's stage 4. So I was just like, okay. I mean, I didn't know anything. I just said, like, how long do I have left? And they said, we don't know. Like I said, is it months? And they said, it's years. And that's all they told me. And then I went home. Obviously, like, completely freaked out. A couple of my friends came over and it was just, it was hell. And then I was at home for, I think,
Had you told your parents at this stage?
I told my parents, yeah. I mean, they don't know what to say.
Yeah, of course
People
they
don't understand what stage 4 is,
Yeah.
unless you've actually read about it.
Yeah.
You don't
and
really
they're always
understand.
going to say, words that they think are going to help, but it may
nothing
not.
really helps.
Yeah.
So it was a further 4 weeks, I think I sat at home waiting for a call from the hospital. I had no treatment plan. They had just
No
cancelled
treatment plan?
nothing. No, they cancelled my surgery, said someone will be in touch. So I was kind of sitting at home with Ave and my husband, just trying to and then he went back to work, he had to go back to work. So a lot of the time I was just on my own, Googling this stuff, going
So you're now on your own with your new baby.
Yeah. I was scared to eat anything. I was scared to I stopped using any perfumes, any shower gel, everything. I was terrified of everything. I was just like, oh God, there's toxins everywhere. It's going to make it worse. And I actually ended up getting some cannabis oil and trying to self-medicate with that because I was reading on the internet about all these kind of things that you could do. So I got that and I was trying to self-medicate because nobody was in touch to say, look, you're just like, this thing is growing inside.
So there was no support
me.
unit in place?
Absolutely nothing. 4 weeks. And then the only way I got seen was I called my nurse and I just said, you are going to have to get me to see an oncologist or something.
Is this the nurse that had spoken to you in the hospital previously? Yeah.
Yeah. No, so because I was kind of discharged from there.
You're kind of fallen out of the system
I was
slightly.
in a kind of a purgatory kind of area.
Yeah.
So I just said, look, someone's going to have to talk to me and give me some treatment or do something. I was like, I found my lump in August. This is now December. It's just before Christmas. I have a new baby. No one's been in touch. I need some treatment. So she was like,
no treatment at that stage?
No, the oncologist is on holidays, is what I was told. So they got me into a different oncologist and I pretty much had to beg to be seen. So about 4 weeks later, I had a meeting with the oncologist and she told me my treatment plan. And that was... Which was, so I take, I'm on monthly injections. One is to shut down my ovaries. So you're put into menopause pretty much straight away. And then Xgeva, which helps with osteoporosis. Because obviously that's a side effect of menopause. And then I'm on ribociclib and letrozole. So one attacks the cancer and the other inhibits estrogen. So I take 3 tablets a day and then I got shots once a month. And that is my treatment plan.
And that is your treatment plan currently and going
Currently.
forward?
Going forward until the cancer mutates against it, yeah. And then I will have another treatment plan. So you've, X amount of lines of treatment, and it just depends on how your body reacts to them and how long they work for and when the cancer kind of mutates against them. So it's a real, like, no man's land. Oh, God, Muireann. Yeah, you've no kind of, there's no guarantee, So I basically live scan to scan. Now I'm doing really well on treatment. I've had a really, really good response.
So how long have you been on treatment now?
2 years. It'll be 2 years in December. Sorry.
And how has your body reacted physically first?
Well, I honestly think the menopause side effects are worse.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask you that. So I mean, that's the shock of going straight into menopause is and dealing with that is massive.
I mean, that's the thing.
It's massive for anybody. I mean, even in the build up, but I mean, just to go straight in with a brand new baby, then to go straight into it.
Yeah, like I wanted another baby. So look, I got over that pretty quick when
Well, because now it's your life. I mean, so
and I was lucky. I had the chance to have one. So,
and you were.
So menopause, I mean, like the hot flashes, the anger, like I just had really bad. I couldn't control my anger at all. And all these things on top of it just made it 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Weight gain, insomnia. Insomnia really, I find really difficult. And the hot flashes, obviously, which makes it impossible to sleep. So, but look, it's a small price to pay for the fact that I'm doing very well. So I have no evidence of active disease.
Exactly. But, physically, how are you? I mean, in terms of, lumps, bumps, anything like that?
No. So, no. So my last scans showed no evidence of activity. So the cancer is dead in my body. But they know, they say it will wake up at some point. It's smarter than the medication.
So when it mutates, that's when they will have to change.
That's when they change. But that could be tomorrow. It could have happened
you don't know
10 days ago. I don't know until my scan.
And how much, oversight are you getting, from them, in terms of, appointments going back?
So I'm quite low maintenance at the moment. So I go in every 3 months to have bloods to make sure that I'm okay to take the medication because it's harsh on your body. Yeah. So they check my neutrophils to see if I'm okay to start the next dose.
Yeah.
So once every 3 months is not so bad. They've moved my scans to every 6 months.
Yeah, that's what I was asking you. So they moved your scans.
The scans are 6 months now. Yeah. So I have them coming up in September. As of my last ones were fine. Yeah. So September, I'll see again. But I have no idea what's going on.
And mentally, how are you? I mean, because it's such a huge thing to have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm fine, but I'm probably not. I'm kind of someone who I keep very busy. Like I've gone back to work now.
What do you work as?
I'm a chef.
So you're on your feet as well?
I'm on my feet all day, which I can handle just about. Now I'm reduced capacity, so I'm there 4 days rather than 5.
Yeah. It's probably good for your mental well-being as well.
I don't deal well with sitting around. Yeah. Like I have to.
Too much time for thinking and
yeah. So things like this help me.
Yeah.
I do a lot of cycling. That helps me. Looking after my daughter. She's been a great distraction.
Yeah, a wonderful distraction.
Yeah.
How has your husband dealt with it?
I don't know. It's hard to say. My husband's he's a quiet guy.
He's a man.
Yeah.
Men don't do it,
he is. I mean, it's very difficult for him. I think because I don't appear sick, it's hard to...
It's very difficult.
It's hard to
I'm looking at you, like, and
See, I haven't been through any harsh treatment.
Yeah.
Like, Niamh has been through...
Yeah.
I've never had chemo.
You have the most amazing head of hair. I mean,
that's believe it or not, that's thinner than it was. But honestly, I haven't been through any harsh treatment, so it is kind of hard for me to accept as well because I don't.
You're not looking in the mirror and seeing a different person.
No, I haven't gone through the hair loss and I've never been admitted to hospital. Yeah. I've reacted well to medication. So it's hard for me to accept. And I do think there's a certain amount of denial there. But
because you're not, you haven't had chemo, you haven't had surgery, you look the same, roughly.
I think further down the line with harsher treatments and, if I'm ever admitted, which I'm assuming I will be, that's when it might hit home a bit more. Yeah. So for the moment, I'm just trying to kind of block it out, do some good with the campaign.
And again, now it's just the most mind-blowing story.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish you both, the very best. But just bring it forward to the campaign. So, I suppose, how did this come about? How did you meet? And, what, kind of call to action or call to involvement are you looking for? So, maybe give people an understanding of what Too Young to Be Heard actually is. Do you want to start?
Yeah, so we kind of, followed each other online, and Ziva as well, and
And with your stories, is it?
Yeah, exactly. I think when you share your story online, you kind of connect with other people in the community, and kind of say hello, and the usual. We had went into Shannon one day, wasn't it?
So you connected online through Instagram, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were all raising awareness kind of separately.
And was that, specifically people who felt they were too young to be heard and had been overlooked by the system? Was that?
Well, just our personal journeys.
Okay.
And then we kind of got together. There was, a few people going into the challenge they were doing. What was the?
It was a debate. A debate with
the Minister for Health.
Minister for Health about
Jennifer Carl McNeil.
Yes, about breast cancer. Yeah. And we had been talking to Teresa Costello. Yeah. And so we were going in to help her because she's trying to lower the age of breast screening. So she invited us in to watch this debate. Yeah. Okay. So we were watching it together in the stands.
Just happened to be watching. Was that the first time you had met physically?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, but we knew we were meeting that day.
Yeah,
and Ziva as well.
Yes, and Ziva as well. Yeah, and we kind of were just chatting after. We got, I can only speak for myself, but we all got really angry about kind of like
when you were telling your stories to each other, kind of thing. Is it
just in the
listening
debate?
To the debate, like they kept talking about. No, I don't want. This is going to sound bad, but they were talking about what happens when things go right. And it felt like they were kind of patting each other on the back a lot.
When things go right?
Yeah. In this kind of debate, it was all like, oh, aren't we doing great? This is happening. Aren't we doing great? That's happening. And early detection this and early detection that. And I think we were kind of sitting there going, well, we found our own cancers. And, what good is early detection if it's ignored?
Yeah.
So we were chatting afterwards and we felt a bit angry.
Yeah.
So
overlooked and angry because
and angry. So we thought, a bit deflated as well, I think that.
Again, you're kind of pushed into the corner kind of thing almost, aren't you?
So we thought kind of it might have an impact if we collected stories of people with early onset breast cancer who had problems because of their age. And the initial idea was to collect them and then share them with the Minister for Health. And then we created the Instagram page and we realised that actually sharing them online for people to see was quite powerful.
Very powerful, yeah.
So that's
we've been sharing them,
So how many have you got now?
Stories or
stories?
We've only shared about 12. I actually counted the other day. We've only shared 12.
That's not only 12. I mean, that's massive.
It's 12 amazing ladies that have shared their story, and we've we're doing it weekly. And
we have a lot more to share.
Yeah, a lot more to share.
So you do it weekly, are you?
Yeah.
Once a week.
Yeah. And it's they can share them anonymously if they want, or we can share their faces if they prefer. It's completely up to them, which is really important because, everyone deals with their situation and their journeys individually and for them. So, if they don't want to share it, that's completely up to them. But the powerful kind of thing that we're doing is sharing each person's story that, they're not alone and there's actually a problem by being dismissed by either, at the start of a GP or, taking 11 weeks to 7 months for
an appointment.
an ultrasound or triple assessment. So reading each story is, it makes me angry.
I can imagine it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it gives them an opportunity to share their story in their words.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know this might sound like a ridiculous question, but is there an age upper limit on the stories you're listening to, or is it women of all ages?
Well, I think that women under 50 kind of are left out. They're left out of annual screening.
Yes, I suppose because it's below the age of first screening.
We don't
so
have
that's
an
what
age
you're
limit put on it. But it's kind of, if you're 49 and you're not referred for mammogram because you're 49, I mean, that really is because of your age and it's not right, So, I mean, when we look at the age of mammogram is 50. Like Ziva is a good bit younger than us. I think she was
Ziva's only in her 20s.
21 when she found her lung.
Yeah.
She's stage 4 as well.
Yeah.
She was waiting 8 months, I think, for
7.5
for an ultrasound after she found her own lung.
For triple assessment.
Yeah.
Wow.
But she falls 30 years nearly outside of the window for mammogram.
Yeah.
I mean,
so is your, what are you looking, apart from the story sharing, what are you looking for from, your campaign and this Instagram page? I mean, are you looking for a call to action to reduce the screening age? What exactly are you looking for?
Yeah, we want the screening
Few
age to be
things.
lowered.
Yeah.
And, for women not to be dismissed, and if we get an appointment, when we get an appointment, a triple assessment be done on the day. We shouldn't have to be told, come back in 10 weeks, 2 weeks, what it takes, up to an hour to do the mammogram, ultrasound, biopsy. And we have an answer then and there. It shouldn't have to be, come back, we'll do it again. We're already there. It shouldn't have to be.
100%.
We're looking for GPs to refer symptomatic patients with disregarding their age and not using that as a diagnostic tool. There's also
because it should never be a diagnostic
absolutely
tool.
not, but it is. So many times we hear the same thing. We also would like some financial provisions to be put in place to protect people's futures.
But again, as you say, Niamh, you had to continue working,
That's it.
during treatment because you couldn't afford to pay rent and not work.
Exactly.
Just recently I was refused the partial capacity benefit because I am going back to work. I'm back to work now at a reduced capacity. Nobody told me about this scheme. I was kind of like, oh, how am I going to survive? It's like, especially in this economy, things are very expensive. Nobody told me about this scheme, and then somebody told me about it after. So I sent in an application which was 2 weeks late, and I was refused partial capacity based on that. With stage 4 cancer,
With stage 4 cancer.
Now I did appeal it and I did win it just recently. But still, that on top of everything else and the forms and the nightmare of going through that whole process again.
So I suppose even help and support with the financials, the paperwork,
absolutely.
Getting through all that red tape. Apart from what's going on in your physically and what's going on in your head.
I feel like cancer is just the start of a domino effect.
Absolutely.
That kind of like wreaks havoc through your whole life, and it's. I know I'm new to it, and I'm going to be in treatment forever, but it's you can't get over it. I think that's why when people are diagnosed, they go online and they try to find other people because it's just like it's such a unique experience to try and
find your tribe.
Exactly. And that's, we're hoping that the page can also act as a kind of a platform for people who are newly diagnosed. If they find it, look, that girl has the same story to me or similar. And then maybe if someone's willing to share their story online, they can connect with
because it's always good, no matter, what space you're in, to find somebody who's on a similar journey to you. Or
it is a community. We all speak to each other.
There's a reason why people form tribes. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, look, I think anyone should get involved in this and certainly share their story, if they feel that they're in the same space that you either are in or were in. So, I think it's a fantastic campaign. It's too young to be heard. So I think anyone who's listening today who feels that they know somebody's in that space should certainly go on and find the page. Is there any kind of call to action or anything particularly you want to say? Maybe a couple of sentences for both of you to finish it off.
Just, if you want to reach out, we're happy to share, we're happy to chat. It is a community, and I know, like, going through my treatment, I wouldn't have gotten through it without connecting to these women. So there is a safe space online for people to connect, and hopefully that we can be that for our campaign to do that and do good for anybody going through it and not experience some of the dismissals and financial problems that we've experienced. So
they can follow us online at Too Young to Be Heard, and also it's just an ear, even if you need an ear, like it's a
sometimes a listening ear.
That's it.
Or even a bit of validation for what you're going through, that what you feel is happening is actually happening.
And maybe we can help. If someone's experiencing a delay, maybe there's something we can do. Maybe we can send an email. Maybe we can try to put pressure.
But you've been through it, so you're going to be able to support them, even give them a bit of guidance, a bit of information, or a bit of signposting, or whatever.
Exactly.
So so it's Too Young to Be Heard. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Niamh and Muireann, and just the very best to look for the future. And thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.